Welcome back, learners. As you know, in the previous class, so what we have done is as per the center line diagram, what we have in the AutoCAD. So we have entirely prepared the center line of the same drawings in the ETABS. That is first part. And after that, I explained you about the different views that we can have in the ETABS software. And even I have explained you the significance of one story, all story, similar stories here. Now, I'll explain you in brief or in detail about each and every options which is available here as when and where it is required. Now, once this center line grid is prepared in the software, what is my next step? So my next step is I have to allot the columns as well as I have to allot the beams in the given grid lines. Now, before we allot before we position the columns and beams, we should understand that what are the materials that we required here. Okay, now when it comes to the beams as well as columns, we know that whatever the design we are doing, it is a reinforced cement concrete design. Okay, so you know the design can be of the steel, entire steel structure. The design can be of only wooden, or the design can be of the composite, that is combinations of the different materials. Anything can be, but here in the first design, and I have clearly told that this entire lecture whatever I am doing is only for the reinforced cement concrete design, right? So when it comes to reinforced cement concrete, as the name itself indicates, the two main materials that we required here is concrete, and another one we call it as a reinforcement. The reinforcement is which is be made up of steel. So therefore concrete and steel are the main two components of a RCC structure. Now according to that, you already come across the RCC basic things. You know, in an RCC, the steel will be decided based on the characteristic strength of the steel. So we have two category. One we call it as the mild steel. Another one we call it as the HYSD steel, high strength yield bar steels. Usually if we are using the mild steel, then its characteristic strength, what we call it as F suffix Y, will be 250 Newton per mm square. If we are using HYSD, that is a high strength yield bars means, then you will be having two grades, that is FE415, that is characteristic strength equal to 450 Newton per mm square, or FE500, that is characteristic strength is equal to 500 Newton per mm square. Even due to the advancement in the metallurgical process, nowadays the people have started using the FE600 grade also. FE600 grade steel, that is characteristic strength equal to 600 Newton per mm square is also available. But widely it is not been used, but still we are in FE415 and FE500 still. So therefore, whenever we start a design, so we should decide, okay, what should be my grade of steel. Okay. Now in this project, whatever we have considered, we are going to consider the FE415, that is characteristic strength equal to 415 Newton per mm square. That is what I am going to consider. So therefore you came to know that the material I am going to use is a steel, what we call it as that we are going to use it as a rebar, whereas the strength will be 415 Newton per mm square, which is called as characteristic strength. Similarly, the another most important material that we need here is concrete. So how we decide the concrete? The concrete is decided based on the grade of concrete. Based on the grade of concrete. Okay, based on grade of concrete. So based on the grade, again, the grade of concrete represents the characteristic strength of the given concrete when it is tested after curing for the 28 days. That means when I say the grade of concrete is 20, then the average compressive strength when you conduct the experiment on the cubes after curing the cubes for 28 days should not come less than 20 Newton per mm square. That is what the meaning is. So like that, based on the grade, we have M20, M30, M40, M50 like that. So as you increase the number, so your strength of the concrete is also going to increase. So therefore, even we have to decide what grade of concrete we are going to use. Okay. Usually students, usually the grade of concrete used will be same for the footing as well as columns, whereas the grade of concrete used for the beams and slabs and staircase will be same, because the footings and columns are usually casted together. Therefore the grade of concrete will be same for the footings and columns, and usually the grade of concrete for the footings and columns are higher as compared to the grade used for the beams, slabs as well as staircases, because it has to carry more load. Okay, so to be on more safer side, usually we go for the higher grade of concrete for the footings and columns. Since the slabs and beams and sometimes staircase are cast monolithically, that means together, so usually we cannot differentiate because it will be very difficult when while carrying out the concreting. Therefore, we usually maintain the same grade of concrete for the beams, slabs and staircases. Usually the grade of the beams, slabs and staircase will be lower than the grade we used for the beams and columns. Okay. Now in this project, since it is only G+1 building, that is 2-story building, let us assume that the footings and columns, okay, the footings and columns will be made up of the concrete of the grade M25, whereas the beams, slabs and staircases, let us assume that they are made up of the grade of concrete M20. Okay, let us assume like that. Okay, M20 is the grade of concrete required for the beams, slabs and staircase, whereas M25 is the grade of concrete that we are going to use for the columns and footings. Now once the grade of concrete and the grade of steel is decided, in the software, before we start putting the beams and columns, first step is we have to define the materials. So therefore first I'll explain the first option, what we call it as define here. When and where it is required, I'll explain view as well as edit. First let me explain define. Now when I click on the define, definitely this drop down box will appear. Now in that, first let us learn today how to define the material properties. Now we have decided what is the grade of concrete we required for the beams, columns as well as the slabs, footings as well as staircase. Similarly, what is the grade of steel we required. So both the grade of concrete and grade of steel has to be defined. Now let us see how to define. So define material properties. So when I click on that material properties, this box is going to appear. Now in this box you can see there are three options: add new material, add copy of the material, modify or show material. What is this? First of all, what is this add new material? See, when you are starting the project, you are starting from beginning, nothing will be there. So if you want to define any new material which is not at all present already here, then we can go for the add new material. For example, in this project, I have not defined the grade of concrete, that is M20 as well as M30. And even I have not defined the grade of steel, that is Fe415. Nothing has been defined. It means I have to add that materials to my project. In such case, I will go to add new material. Okay, once I added the material, everything is ready. In case I need to modify something in that given in the defined material, means then I can use the option modify or show material. For example, in the software, when we go to the next step, you will understand that we itself give the name for the given concrete, M20 or M20 or M30, like that. For example, we have given the name M20. After that, you feel that I wanted to change the name. In such case, you can choose that and you can go to option modify or show material, and you can change whatever the things you require. That is what the use of modify or show material, add new material. In case if you want to just duplicate the material, then you can go for the copy of the material. Okay. Now, according to that, as I already told, in this project, we don't have any material at all. We have to start from the beginning. Therefore, I will click on add new material. When I click on add new material, this box will appear. This box will appear, right? So in this box, the first option that you can see here, you are supposed to choose you belongs to which country. Okay, you are supposed to choose you belongs to which country. Okay, you belongs to which country, right? Yes. So in this, as you know, we are dealing in the country India. You can see here the different countries can be available here: China, Europe, India, Italy, New Zealand, Russia, Spain, United States. Or if you have something else separately, you can go to user. So India is existing, therefore I am choosing India, right? Okay. Once the country is chosen, you can see here material type. Now I have to select what type of material I am doing, whether I am doing steel, whether I am doing rebar means reinforcement, whether I am doing concrete, whether I am doing wood or some other material. If you have new material to define, that can also be done. So therefore, if I click on, you can see here, if I am doing steel structure, I can use steel. Concrete, to grade of concrete, I have to select concrete. If I'm using aluminium, I can use aluminium. If I'm using cold formed steel, I can use cold formed. Rebar represents reinforcement, even that also I have to do here. That is in order to define the grade of steel, that is 415 or Fe500 or Fe250. Okay. Then tendon, if you are working a project on the cables, right, in order to do some bridge designs and all, you can go to tendon. If you are doing the masonry structure, okay, so then you can choose mason. Or if you have any other material to be defined, even you can use other also. But now in this project, I need to define the steel, that is rebar, and the grade of concrete. So first I will choose the concrete. I have chosen concrete. Now again, standard, definitely it will be India. Now when the material is used concrete, automatically the grade will come. You can see here this many grades of concretes can be used. They are all already present. What you can do, you can just choose what type of material, what type of grade of concrete you wanted to do in this project. I told you I need two grade of concrete. M20 I am using for the beam, slab, staircase. M25 I am using for the footing and column. So we cannot define two materials at a time. First we will go to M20. So therefore I will choose M20. I will give OK. Okay. So once I choose M20, once I give OK, this material property data will appear. Okay. So what is this material property data will show? See here, you can change the material name. Instead of giving M20, I can give like this grade 20. Anything can be given, but usually the grade of concrete will be represented as M20, or no doubt, no issues. If you want to give any specific name to it, so you can change here. It is possible. Okay. Then next is again it will confirm you that whether you want to keep the same material or you want to change. Okay. The same those options will come. You are supposed to confirm that no, I'm doing concrete only. Right. Then what is this directional symmetric type? You can see isometric orthotropic. What is this? You should understand. See, the directional symmetric type means it will ask you that whether my entire property of the given grade will remain same in all the directions or not. Okay. For example, if I am choosing isotropic means wherever you test the given grade of concrete, it will be same. It is not going to change. But if I choose the material, the directional symmetric type as orthotropic, then the homogeneity will not be there. The isotropic represents homogeneous nature of the concrete. If I am choosing the orthotropic, then it represents the heterogeneous. Okay. For example, in one particular direction, the nature of aggregate that you may use or the nature of cement that you may use is different, whereas in the another direction it may be different. It means there is no uniformity in the given concrete. It is going to change in directions. That if you want to do, then you are supposed to choose orthotropic, then automatically your property is going to change. Usually we are not going to do that. It will be isotropic in nature. So we are supposed to choose isotropic. Then material display color. It means we can identify that blue represents the given grade of concrete M20. It will change for every grade of concrete. If you want to change, you can change this also color, whichever you want. Then material notes, if you want, you can give anything specific. Okay, for example, I can give M20 used for only beams, slabs, stairs. Like this, you can give some particular notes. Okay. Then once the general data is defined, you are supposed to give the properties. Okay, this properties of the grade of concretes means what is this? Specific weight density or specific mass density. Okay, you have to give weight per unit volume, mass per unit volume. That is about material weight and mass. Then mechanical property, that is Young's modulus of the given grade of concrete, Poisson's ratio of the given grade of concrete, coefficient of thermal expansions of the given grade of concrete, the shear modulus G of the given grade of concrete. Everything is predefined based on the experiments, but if you have some changes, you can able to modify here also. Otherwise, for the given grade, these are the predefined values from the software itself. So if you want to change, you can change the data. Okay, if you want to change, you can change the data. Okay, so for your level, this much data's entry is more than sufficient. You can see here there are n number of options which is of very higher one. Okay, which may not be able to understand for your level when you are doing the post graduation level, and that times it will come. Or when I take up then another example after this project, I'll explain you what is this. So for the first project, let us understand only for this level. Okay, so all the values will be predefined values will be there. Either you can retrieve the same, or if any changes is there according to your places or according to your nature, you can change. So once all datas are given, everything is ready, you can just click on OK. When I click on OK, you can see here this M20 has been appeared here. Okay, so that's why I told once it is now M20 grade of concrete is defined. Now in case if you want to modify something, you can directly click like this. You can go modify or show material. Whatever changes you want, you can change it here. Okay. Yes. So if you want, if you don't want that, you can delete also. Delete material if you give, it will ask you yes, you can delete it. Okay. So therefore add new material. So India concrete M20. Okay. So everything is there. Okay. I can make it M20. I'll give okay. Now M20 for the beam, slabs and staircase is done. I need another material M25 for the columns and footings. So again I need to add it. Add new material I will give. Now from M20 I will make it M25. Give OK. Again it will come everything. Whatever changes is there, you can change. You can see here the density is 159 here. Okay, if you see M20, the density is 150 because the density of concrete is not going to change. Okay, so everything almost remains the same. Okay, everything almost remains same. Okay, yes. So you can see here now the color is chosen as green color in order to represent that this is a different grade or that is a different grade. So once everything is done, give OK. Now whatever the materials, that is the concrete has been defined now. Okay, now once the concrete is defined, what is my next step? My next step is I am supposed to define the steel, that is what you call it as rebar, that is reinforcement I am supposed to do. Now how to define the rebar? See here again I will go to add new material. I will click on add new material. Now again my region will be India, but now my material type will changes from concrete to rebar. Concrete to rebar. Okay. So once it is done, again it will be standard India. Now you can see I told you when I have the rebar, we have usually three, that is mild steel that gives you characteristic strength of 250 Newton per mm square. Then next you have is HYSD. In that HYSD you have two grades. One is FE 415 and one more is FE 500. So FE 600 has been recently introduced, and in the software also it is not yet incorporated. So therefore if you select this, you can see here mild grade 250 is there, HYST grade 415 is there, HYST grade 500 is there, HYST grade 550 is there. In this, whichever grade you want, you can choose. Definitely, we are not going to differentiate the rebar strength for the beams, columns, slabs, footing, staircase differently. All these components will have the same rebar of usually Fe415. So therefore here we are supposed to define only one rebar, that is Fe415. Once I choose HYSD grade Fe415, I'll give OK. Then again it will ask data. Material name you want to change, you can change, or you can retrieve as it is. Again the material type, definitely it will be a rebar. Then again the direction, symmetric type, it will be same for all. Then this is the material display color. Then material notes, if you want you can add something. Okay, then some material weight and mass values, material property, that is Young's modulus and coefficient of thermal expansion. If any changes you want to make, you can make, or if all data are proper, you can give OK. So therefore Now, whatever the materials required, okay, whatever the materials required for my project is required, we have defined, we have just defined. Okay, yes, you can see these are some predefined or inbuilt materials. It is not required, even you cannot delete also if they are inbuilt, so no need to worry. Our materials required is M20, M25 and HYSD 415. Okay, so these are my three materials which is required for my given project. So once the material is done, what we are supposed to do, we will see in the next video. Okay, we have to define the sections. Okay, before we define the section, we need to understand some basic concepts, how to choose the sections, based on what criteria. That everything I'll explain in detail in the next video, and even I'll explain you how to define that in the software also. Okay, thank you learners.